everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we're having a very chill sit down catch up. I did do like a whole year one catch up, so if you guys are interested in that then I'll leave a tag up above, but this is going to be like a very simple Q&A type video. If you guys want to hear everything about my year one experience so far, then make sure you go to that previous video because it's got way more details in it. I put on my Instagram just a Q&A option for you guys to put in some questions and I'm going to answer them today. So we're going to talk about my driving updates, we're going to talk about some uni stuff, what it's like being away from home, how I feel about my course, and just random things like that. So let's get started. What's life like away from home? It's really sad seeing all of these TikToks about people worried about moving away from home because it just reminds me of how I felt last year. It is sad every single time I have to like pack my stuff and come back because home is just like a different lifestyle. They feel like completely two separate worlds. I just really appreciate being at home, having like home cooked meals. I do love being with my friends, like don't get me wrong, I love the options of just going to their flats and stuff and hanging out. I love that sort of life so much. I do really appreciate both aspects, which is being here and being at home, but it is always hard going away from home, just the constant like buzz of people being in the house and the pets and just that is definitely hard to say goodbye to every single time. But I will say that I am doing so much better than I thought I would be. I remember when I first thought about moving away from home, I absolutely dreaded counting down the weeks, the months, and everyone gets so excited because you know you get to be independent and you get to have like this new lifestyle, and I wasn't excited like in the slightest. I honestly didn't think that I would ever be able to cope, and I know that sounds really dramatic, but I love my family so much and I was just thinking, how am I gonna do this without them? But now I'm at the other end of it and I can speak to you guys honestly. You will be okay. You will honestly be fine. The first time I said goodbye to my mum, I was thinking, how am I going to live my life completely by myself? I feel like humans are so cool because we have to adapt. You're in a situation where you're away from home and you're thrown into this room with a bunch of people you've never met before, and it's so daunting and so scary, but because you're a human you have to just adapt to it, and before you know it you'll be planning grocery meals, you'll be going on shopping trips, you'll be meeting friends, you'll be speaking to people you never spoke to before, you'll be cooking, you'll be making messes in the kitchen, and your family is always going to be there. If ever I'm worried about something that I'm doing, something that I'm making, or I don't know what to make, and I say to my mum like, do you have any ideas? Or she helps me with like groceries, I ask her what's affordable, what's not. Your family don't go away. They're through a screen and it's harder, but they're never gone. I felt like when I was leaving home I was leaving my family and I was like never gonna see them again, and you forget that they're still always there. It's definitely one of those things where you feel like you're never gonna do it and then suddenly you're doing it and you're so proud of yourself for that small win. So being away from home has been hard. I miss my family, I miss my pets and stuff, but as much as they're always there on the screen, you can also always go home. I know that's hard because I don't know other people's situations and how far away you're going to be living, but I live about 2.5 hours away, sometimes 3 hours away from my mum. So whenever I do want to go home, it is like, oh, you know, it's going to be a big journey. If I want to go home, I know that I can. Sorry, that was such a long answer, but yeah. Life away from home is strange and it's scary, but you will do so much better than you think you would. You're going to get accustomed to it so quickly. You can contact your family whenever and you can go home when you want to. Maybe not as often as you'd like to, but home is always going to be there. So if you're ever upset and you feel alone, home is always there waiting for you and nothing's changing. It's just waiting for you to come back to. So just bear that in mind. I know a lot of people are worried about it. I am such a family person and I am good. I'm doing so okay and I'm managing to balance both sides. How am I finding the assessments part of my course? The environment of my university is very relaxed. It's not very black and white. So for example, my screen assessments, I don't really understand which ones were really assessments or which ones weren't. They weren't very clear on that. And I think that's a part that I don't like, is that when you're in high school and in sixth form, it's very, you've got to revise, this is then, this is then, this is then. My university seemed way more chill. And I guess that's good in terms of anxiety, but I also am that type of person that I loves to be super prepared. So I remember we worked on like this script for a few weeks and it was like a really basic like 1-page script, and then when it came down to like the 4th week we thought we'd just move on, and then our teacher was like, okay, well we need close-ups now because this is going to be an assessment, and we were like, what? We had no idea, and it was so simple and it was easy to do, and there wasn't a lot of anxiety around it because there wasn't that time for it to build. But it was still like, we wish we'd have known, and I would like to have a bit more pressure because I feel like then I would potentially do better. And I feel like a lot of people in my course have said similar things, like we've had it in discussion outside of uni, saying that we wish they were a bit harder sometimes, which I know sounds weird, but I don't know if in general, because obviously this is my only experience, I don't know if in general universities are more relaxed when it comes to assessments. We'd just like to be pushed a bit harder. We do have a live performance assessment coming up, which is going to be like an actual show where we're going to have an audience and stuff, and I feel like this is where I'm feeling the most pressure because people are actually going to watch this external from our class. I feel like at the start it was nerve-wracking to perform in front of the class, but now we're so close with everyone, it feels like we're just doing it in front of our friends. So I feel like doing it as a live performance in front of like people we're inviting, it's definitely like that extra oomph of, you know, you've really got to nail this. So yeah, my assessments are okay, they're going okay. I think they are anyway. They do seem very like simple, and they do also seem like very relaxed, but I'm also in first year, so I guess like as they say, nothing counts. I also have some written work that I need to do. I did expect to do like an essay or something, but we have got more written work than I expected. We've got like 2 evaluations. We've got like a screen one, a live performance one. We didn't know that was happening either. We have like Google Classroom, and we saw like the brief, and the brief said we had these essays, and they didn't even tell us that we had them. So we also have a question that says select a movement or a person or a practitioner, just something like that, and say how it has influenced and impacted the practice of acting. So that's like a 2,000 word essay. And we also had to do a poster on a pioneer of the industry, and then we had to do a bibliography for the essay that we were writing. Who knows if more's going to come out. What would you say to someone that wants to start a YouTube channel or is about to? Just do it. And that's always what people say, and it is kind of cringe, but honestly, just do it. I wanted to do YouTube since like I started watching Zoella and Alfie and, you know, that whole era of YouTube, and I absolutely love the idea of documenting your life. And I put it off and I put it off and I put it off, and I kept thinking like, I've got to find the right moment for this. This is like a big deal. I've got to find like a good day, a good vlog, whatever. I had this vision that my first video was going to be prom, and then I didn't end up filming prom, and then I was like, it's going to be my 18th birthday party. And I was like, nah, that's like too much, I can't film that. And then our year 13 prom got cancelled because of COVID, so I couldn't film that. I was also going to film me going to Loverfest, Taylor Swift festival that was going to happen in 2019, and that got cancelled because of COVID. I had all of these ideas for like big first YouTube videos because I was like, I've got to put myself out there. And you know, I ended up doing like a self-isolation video, and it's pretty boring. Like I can't even bear to watch it back. And at the time I was filming it, I was like, oh, this is so boring. But I was like, do you know what? I reached a point where I'd put it off for so long. I really just wanted to get a video out there. And I think I even filmed the intro separate to the actual day that I filmed the vlog. And it was a bit like half-assed, if that makes sense. I spent like probably like 3 weeks trying to edit it and cut it down and cut it down and cut it down and watching it over and over again. It isn't like a good video, but I was just so desperate to put something out there, and I just did it. And now I'm at 1,000 and something followers. Like I literally just celebrated my 1,000. I think I'm like a 1,100 and something. And I never ever imagined something like that would happen. Of course, everyone starts YouTube and they expect to like grow. They hope to grow in some way. But honestly, my biggest goal was hitting 50 subscribers, and then it was 100. And then I just kind of stopped having goals, and I just saw where it took me, and it's taken me here. I'm really grateful that I started this channel. If I hadn't have just posted that video of me talking about painting my brother's room and how I was eating beans on toast, I wouldn't be where I am today. If you just keep posting and posting and posting, naturally people are going to find your channel. And the whole point of YouTube, like, yeah, it's about the content, but it's also about you. Depending on your content, you're selling yourself. And for me, it's literally just about me. So I do have like, you know, themed videos, which is like, you know, Taylor Swift reactions, and I've got my London vlogs, and I've got like the whole, just me being a student, like that's a selling point and like a marketing point of myself. But it's just me, it's just posting myself. I just post Taylor Swift because I like Taylor Swift. I post my uni stuff because I want to document my student nights out and the fun, and I also want to be a voice to share my experience of uni. And all of those things is just naturally coming out of me, and I think that's really important. As long as you're posting stuff you like, that's about yourself, people are going to find you and people are going to like you. What has disappointed you about moving to London? And I've never really thought about this. I think something that makes me sad about London is how little people communicate. And even though I'm an introvert, it's kind of easier not talking to people, but sometimes I just miss the nice stuff. So for example, if I'm walking in the shops and then I stop to let someone by, just say thank you. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's a London thing, but everywhere I go in London, no one has ever thanked me, ever, for anything. If I'm like, oh, sorry, and I move something out of the way, or I stop, or like I hold the door open for someone, they just walk. Like, they don't care. They got places to be. They're not going to stop for 2 seconds and say thank you. And I wish people just stopped more and just said thank you or sorry. Like, the amount of people that have just barged into me and they just don't say anything. Like, I don't want to sit there and have a whole conversation with you, but I would like for you to acknowledge that I'm a human who you've just pushed or who's just stopped and waited for you. And also the water. I don't like the taste of the water, and I don't want to buy plastic bottles because I don't want to like contribute to more plastic in the environment. So I have this water, and I'm not, whenever I'm in London, I'm not drinking enough because I just don't like how it tastes. It tastes dirty. So if anyone's got any advice and you live in London and you don't like the taste of the water and you have like a new hack, then let me know. Oh my God. Our class is called 1C, by the way, for context, but I got a question saying funniest in 1C. I guess like off the top of my head, just like randomly, I would have to say Luke. I think he's the funniest in 1C. Another question is coping with a long distance relationship. When I first found out I was going to London, I was also devastated about my relationship. And I think at that point we've been together for 4 years. And that is a long time, like especially from like a young age, being with someone for 4 years. So I shouldn't like, I guess technically have my doubts, but when you're moving away from someone, of course you're going to have your doubts and you're going to think, is this going to work? We did long distance during lockdown. We didn't see each other, because I know some people secretly saw each other, but we didn't see each other at all during the whole COVID. We made sure we didn't mix at all. And we were really good during lockdown. Like, we FaceTime whenever we got the chance. We kept each other updated. But that's because there weren't other factors involved. It was just, you know, you had nothing else to do, so you could call each other whenever you wanted. And then when he went to university, we then went from like 10 minutes away from each other, if that. Probably less than that, to 40 minutes. That was hard when he first went to university. I think that was a difficulty because he then was busy. He was the busy one. I had a year off and I was based at home, and that was really difficult, having him like meeting new people, having new friends, mentioning people who I'd never heard of before. And that was a really hard transition, just thinking, how am I gonna adjust to him having this life which is so much more exciting than me? And I know that sounds really sad, but like, he would be doing stuff throughout the day and he'd FaceTime me and he'd be like, I've done this, like, what have you done today? And it's like, oh, like, I walked the dogs and I filmed a video. And it just feels so small in comparison. Something that helped us a lot was communication and planning when to see each other. And with the 40-minute distance, that was fine. He would like tell me his schedule, so I knew when he was free. And of course, like, I was free most of the time, so I was based at home. And he would just message me saying like, you good to call? And I say yeah. And I would know when to contact him, because sometimes you don't want to like contact them and then be disappointed they haven't replied for hours because they're at uni or something. So we always made sure that we timed it to when to talk to each other. And because he was 40 minutes away, we had like a regular day. So I'd always see him on Fridays, and Fridays were our day. So it meant that, so if he was busy a lot, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, just missed that day out, I knew I'd see him Friday and we'd catch up about our week. I then got to see his life. And I think that's the hardest part when you're doing long distance, is that you can't picture it. So he was mentioning all these people that I'd never met in an environment I'd never seen. Once I went to his uni and saw his room, met his friends, I felt so much better. So when he referenced his friends, I could picture them and I knew what they were like. And I think that's really important, to make sure that you're involved in their life so you can understand their life a bit more. When I was going to go to London, it meant that our distance was over 3 hours. That was scary, because then I had uni and he also had uni, and he had year 2, which was going to be really important. I was starting a new year in a big city, which was just as important. I, again, think communication is the biggest thing. It is so hard being away from your partner, especially when you see other relationships and they get to see each other every day, and you see them like going out in London, or like you see them based at home, and they're just like, just being with that person is really hard. But you have to fill your life beyond them. And being at university, I see him so much less. Like, we used to see each other so frequently because, you know, either every Friday or when he used to live like 10 minutes down the road. I see him so much less because he has his life, he has his uni course, he has his friendship group, he has his town, he has his life. And then when I went to year one, I then had my life, I have my friends, I have my uni. After uni, I have things that I need to do now. I have assignments, I have like social stuff. We have our lives, and I feel like it's really important to have your life beyond a relationship, but it's also just as important to keep that relationship a part of your life. And I feel like when people go to university, they get so caught up in the new stuff. They get caught up in the clubs and the new people and the partying and, you know, this whole atmosphere of the uni lifestyle. And I feel like because of that, their relationship kind of becomes like a back thought, because you're so excited about this new experiences. You can have a relationship and you can live your life. And I feel like a lot of people get scared of that, and they think that you either have one or the other. You don't have to pick and choose. Like, I've still been to clubs in London. Well, I went to a club in London and it was a bad experience. So I went to a club in London. I go to parties all the time. I go out with my friends all the time. That hasn't hindered it. I've got a mixed gendered group, because I know that's hard when, like, you know, your partner's got like other gendered friends. It feels a bit like, who are these guys or who are these girls? But I've got a mixed gendered friendship group. He's got a mixed gendered friendship group. And because I know his friends and I've met them, I feel a lot safer. And because he's now met my friends, he obviously feels a lot better. And because we communicate so much, there shouldn't even be that worry. So when I first introduced my friends and stuff, it was a bit like, oh, you know, like there are a lot of guys there, like, type thing. And I felt the same way when he was referencing girls' names. It was like, right, well, who are these girls then? But because we're so communicative, we then understand what these girls are like and what these guys are like. And on FaceTime, he met my friends through FaceTime. He's met them like once in real life. He sees them through my YouTube videos, so he knows them through that. And then whenever I'm calling him and his friends are in the background, his friends always come over and they say hi. And it's just about making sure that as much as you have this life beyond your relationship is a part of that. So whenever I go home for the weekends or whenever I go home for holidays and stuff, he's 40 minutes away from my home. So I always make sure that I either go to him or he comes to me. And when I go to him, I then hang out with his friends and, like, you know, we'll have dinner in like the living room and stuff, and I'll hang out with his friends. And I make the effort to hang out with them and be with him in that house. The same way when he came to London more recently, like, he met my friends and we spent like 2 days with them. He met them initially, and then the next day we went to my friend's flat and we just hung out so he could get to know him a bit better. It's just about making that effort of just seeing each other's worlds, because once I saw his world, I felt so much more secure. And once he's seen mine, he now knows where I'm going. When I say my friend's flat, he can picture it. When I mention my friends, he can see them. I remember when I first ever met my friends, I took photos of their Instagrams and I sent them to him. I did little captures of like descriptions of what they were like and their names, just so when I referenced them in stories, he could picture them. And I just think it's so important. Have a life away from the relationship, and you're okay to do that. But make sure that if you do have this life and you do things, you're letting your partner know what's going on. So if I'm going out for a party, I'll say, by the way, I'm going out to a party tonight. Do you want to call while I get ready? And he's like, yeah, okay. Or he'll say, oh, I'm going to the pub with my friends, or I'm going to my friend's house. And I'll say, oh, okay, when are you going? He's like, oh, I'm going in 10 minutes. Shall we call quickly? Or shall I call you when I'm back? And I'll say, depending on what I'm doing, I'll call me when you're back. It's fine, have fun. And that's really important. And also plan when you're next going to see each other, so you always have that hope of like the next goal. So for example, I just saw him over the Easter holidays, and I know that I'm going to be seeing him on like the 16th of May because he's coming to watch my show. So stuff like that, like, you've got to have the next date planned, because then you have something to look forward to, because otherwise you're kind of just like thinking, when am I going to see them again? And I think that's really important to have like the next date done. Make sure you're keeping your partner updated, make sure you're communicating a lot and you're planning when to speak to them, and also make sure that you're having fun, because I feel like when your whole life becomes a relationship, that's what makes it so hard when it's long distance, because you're so used to them being your life that you don't know what to do without them, and you should know what to do without them. Like, it's okay to miss them, of course, but your life is beyond them. You are your own person. Okay, final question, because I've been going on for quite a while, is what are the expenses that you pay for uni? I pay the actual course, which comes straight from my loan. I pay for food, which costs me about like £15 a week, potentially £10 sometimes. So I do like a 2-weekly shop and the total is like £30. And I'm actually filming a video today, which is me going to my shop, getting the grocery, getting the meal plans. If you guys are interested, then look at that. And train tickets. When I want to go home and stuff, I always make sure that I have money for train tickets. I also make sure I have money for tube, you know, it accumulates. And I would make sure that I save money for experiences. I don't do all the expensive stuff in London, but it is important to still experience the fact you're in this city. So I make sure it's affordable, but I make sure I have the money for it. So when I had my year off, I like worked a lot, and that money now goes towards experiences and stuff like that, and train tickets to go home. So yeah, that is probably like the expenses that I have. I don't really have anything for my uni course because we don't have any books and stuff to pay for. And of course I have my accommodation, which again comes out of my loan. But any personal money that I have, that usually gets spent on train tickets and experiences. If you guys do want to see how like I have affordable experiences, then I'll link up a vlog above, and it's basically just stuff I do in London. So I went to like a drag show for like £8 for a ticket, and you know, just stuff like that, which is still really cool experiences, but they're not expensive. Also, no one asked this, but I do know my driving video is getting more and more comments, so I do want to do like a little update. With my theory test, I did rebook it. For those of you who don't know, my driving test got rescheduled so much that my theory ran out, because it's 2 years and you have to pass your test within those 2 years, and we were in COVID for 2 years, which means that it was completely unfair. I signed so many petitions. They would not change the theory rules. They said that we have to learn the new stuff because they've got new questions and all of that, which is interesting that we have to do that, but everyone else on the road doesn't have to learn about the new signs or anything, which I don't know, seems a bit unfair. But I did rebook my theory and I took my test. I got 49 out of 50, but my hazard perception, hazard perception will literally be the death of me. I went on every single video, and every single video I knew what the hazard perception was. Like, you know how you know which one's going to be the thing, like the hazard that they want you to find. I think I clicked them too early. And I also think that the first half I clicked too early. So like I saw a tractor coming and I would click knowing that would be the hazard perception, and then I would like click again as it's like turning out, just in case. And some of them I did that for, so I'd only click once or twice. But then some of them I think I would panic because I'd click them once because I would see that it's coming fast. Then I'd click again because I'm like, what if they didn't register it? And then it would turn out and I'd click again. So then I'd click, so rather than once or twice, I click 3 times, sometimes 4 times. And I thought that would balance me out quite well, because the first half I was clicking too early. The second half I was clicking like as the hazard was occurring, like the start of the hazard, then it becoming an actual hazard. It didn't work. I don't know why it didn't work. I am so gutted. I was worried about my hazard perception because it's all about when you click it, but I knew every single hazard in the video. I didn't ever have a video shut, you know, when it loads to the next one. I didn't have any of those where I thought, oh my god, I have no idea what the hazard was, or like, oh my god, I clicked it too late. My worry was that I clicked it too early, and I genuinely think that I did, because I think I got 0. I got 0 on a few of them, and I think it's because I clicked it too soon. But then I would click it too soon, and then I click it a second time just to be sure. So I don't know if I did like a double click and the second click was still too soon because it was quite close to the first. I have no idea, but honestly, I am so frustrated, and I'm gonna have to book another theory. But I got 49 out of 50 on the actual theory aspect. It's just the hazard perception. I was like 4 points below the pass. I have this theory app that I was practicing on, and I never failed my hazard perception ever on any of the tests that I did. So I don't know what went wrong. That's my little driving update. So I'm retaking my theory and hopefully pass. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little catch up. I'm sorry if it was really long. I talk so much, which is why I probably only answered like 5 or 6 questions. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless. If you guys do have any more questions for me, then leave them in the comments below, because I'd happily answer any of them. And if there are quite a lot, then I'll do like another Q&A sometime soon. But I definitely wanted to give you guys some sort of update, because I just felt like it was needed, and I miss talking to you guys, and it is nice just to catch up once in a while. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.